Boo! Today we are breaking down the wasteland that is Icebox. All of the hard to clear angles, the meta spots you need to be wary of and also play, plant positions, team metas, everything you need to know to improve your win rate on this map and have a better idea so you don't feel so lost all the time. If you don't know me, my name is Slayerkey. I've taught over 1,000 students, many of which have played on this god-awful map. We're gonna run through the entire map, starting with everyone's favorite, attacking A. Now, the first thing you need to know about attacking A is you do not go ramps. You never go ramps unless you are a duelist, especially someone with a flash. Even most duelists I see that go here don't actually go here. They come up here and then they jump off this box and then drop down here. The main reason is if you actually peek this, like a lot of your brain dead duelists do, you just take a bunch of 50-50 fights with a bunch of angles you don't really know where they are. So when I peek out here, there's multiple spots enemies can be at. There's bottom rafter, top rafter, there's inside tube, there's on top of this box, there's left side, right side here, there's this off angle here from rafter, there's on top of rafter, there's also this small peak here. There's also even like close if they really want to play there, but there's just so much here that's impossible to clear. That's why it's a little bit better if someone like Reyna could just chuck like a high flash here and then jump out with it. Or someone like Jet could instead just do this strat where they just jump off the side. Another common strat you see is people who take this and just drop down here and then go up rope and then jump over here. This is actually usually what I do. Another way you can get up here, if you didn't know, you could silent jump this. So you run, press shift, and then jump. Run, press shift, jump. Now this is a little bit tricky to do, so I'll definitely practice this in customs. I can also do a movement tutorial, but there you go, both silent jumps. So your enemy will never know that you actually jumped up here. They won't have any cues. So your enemy will never hear. If you don't do it, you'll just hear the run and jump sound of the giant clank when people land on this. Another one you commonly see is just hovering here to here, here to here. Get to this spot pretty quickly, pretty safely. Also good to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is you can actually jump from here to here for post plant. Same thing for there to there. Just to have a quick little reposition your enemy might not expect, get a bit closer. But that is pretty much it for ramps. For A main here, pretty much your goal is not to take this fight on top of Jen here, especially against an opper, a potential opper. Make sure to press tab, see if they have money. Hey, look, this guy's got 100k. I think he might have enough for an op. So what people usually do is they hug the right side pathing here, and then if they want to pick this close, they instead come out here. It's a bit more disadvantageous, but at least you avoid that gen fight. The only problem with doing this is you might get caught by an early peak timing here. So be very mindful of this close. You want to get here as soon as possible. This is why in this map you commonly see the Silva Dart up here or like right there. Some sort of util just to clear and prevent them from pushing up close here. We'll talk more about this on defense, but this is the defender's strong point. This was what makes this site so strong for them. Now I kind of showed you the different paths you can take. My main suggestion is most of you go towards pipes. Don't peek from here. I would say either go in pipes or bottom here. Bottom's a bit easier. I'm going to try to break down these angles for you guys because at this point, there's so many angles, there's no way you're going to be able to clear these all properly. So I'll show you what a take looks like, and then I'll show you what the dangers are on this site. But keep in mind, a lot of this is where util comes into play. It's where util is going to save your butt. So when you come around this corner, your first angle is going to be right here. Second angle is going to be here, and then here. And you're going to hug this back wall, clear this close. Hug this back wall, clear this, and clear that. And then you have two choices, go right side or left side. Most people try to go right side. Some players go left side. You should always have a screen smoke here. And then you clear that. And then your goal is basically just to push your back as far against the wall as you can, clear upper, and then you also want to check inside tube. Some players hide in there, and that's pretty much all the site clear. It's very scuffed, it's not perfect. I'll show you what left side would look like. Instead it look like here. I would check upper here, and then you would check back here, and then gen, and you would full clear this, and then you would clear this corner, and that's pretty much it. So there's a bunch of dangers here. Let's break it down. So this is my favorite way to simplify a site take, is to put these little dangers where I expect players to be. Now I expect players to be close left and close right here, literally always. There's also a chance they're top pipes here, forgot to mention that. There's also back 410. So if I start this section off this space, it's very awkward. Oops. So this is like the close angles, and then I'd put gen here. I'd even put behind here, and definitely rafters / under rafters. There's that corner we want to be careful of. And I'm not going to put a danger inside here, but I would make sure we clear this. The only time people really play up here is to hold a really nifty off angle that you'll never be able to predict, or they just hide it up there. Again, I'll show you more of this on defense, but that's what we're looking at for here. So we kind of have 3 sections to clear. This is why you commonly see something like a one-way smoke for here, and then a smoke screens. Viper is also pretty meta on this map. You can see the same exact thing for here. You usually see the wall, and then a one-way to land on top of this. I'll show you guys what this one-way looks like in a sec. But first, let's finish up on these dangers. You can see there's 3 sections. So you saw when I pushed the site, I cleared close, and then I cleared left, and then I had 2 choices for the pathing. I decided to take the right one. Here I clear 410, and then I clear gen, and then I clear backside. Technically, you don't have to do this last peak, but I would really suggest it because your main goal at the end of this is to be able to control all this space. You want this entire section. This is just a post plant thing. It's really vital to have. You don't want to have site cleared and then there's someone just like hiding in the smoke under. There's someone in this corner under heaven, and then they kill one of your teammates. The enemy's already rotated over and they're starting to come outside. It's a really it's a really nasty position to be in. So let's switch back to game. This is what the one-way looks like. You can see it prevents this person under from peeking. It'll also prevent this person upward from peeking unless they want to go super wide and exposed to more. So really nice to keep in mind. The other spot you can take to path site, which is honestly my preferred one. I like going upper a lot more. This is on top of pipes. This allows you to isolate more angles. You can see we can peek gen here, only have to fight top rafters. We can clear this angle of way more isolated. You can clear here, can clear pipes. But there's a lot here you have to be careful of. So my thing to do is I like to like jump over this, peek this, see if there's anyone here, and then I just peek the close ones. Now I'm just gonna hope that this pipes player gets cleared by this guy. I mean, you could always jump peek it, but no. And then what you do after this, you jump on top of 410. Now you're in a pretty nice spot. This is actually a really nice spot to be in. You can clear under here, but you can also clear on top of screens. I didn't even mention on top of screens. That spot absolutely sucks when people play and doesn't get cleared. So also make sure you clear that. But this spot's nice because you can kind of just finesse and like jump around the ropes, and your movement's so weird, and this enemy in the corner is usually facing so many angles that if you do this with your team, it works pretty dang well. You can just hop in and then you have a very quick nice spot. It works pretty well too if you have like smokes or flashes or whatever, because then you can block off this one threat angle, and then when the smoke drops you can kill them, and that's basically like the only threat here if you do this play. So it's a nice spot to kind of experiment with these dangers. Remember to think through these dangers for a lot of your abilities. I talked about like the Sova dart at the start of the round, right? This clears all this close danger, so we don't even have to worry about some aggressive play happening here. That's also why you probably have heard your duelist be like, someone please break the dart for me so I can go peek pipes. For initiators, you're going to be droning a lot of this. For duelists, you're just going to try to isolate one person as much as possible. For sentinels, you're probably just gonna be holding flank on this map, but someone like Deadlock could think about putting here. Cypher could think about camming here and clearing some of these close angles. This is starting to get real messy really fast, but I hope you get the idea that your agent, whoever you decide to play on this map, also has potential to help with this entry. Don't just leave this up to your duelists, don't just leave it up to your initiators, don't just leave it up to your controllers. It's a team game, guys, team game. Well, that's pretty much it for taking site. For planting, you commonly see 2 spots. Remember to look at the wall when you plant. Plant for here, it's planted for rafters, not a bad one. Where's the other good one? If you find out the enemy's flank and you have all the CT, a lot of people like to plant here. Remember, a lot of angles being threatened by the spike is a really good one. So there's 4 big threats here, and when we don't have intel on you, this is a nasty plant spot. Another common one you see is here. Again, look out when you do this so they can't like hide and defuse behind this, which happens. And then this is planted for like everything out here. This is really nasty. Me personally, I always try to opt for this one, but keep in mind, smart players, the ping system's gone now, but this is where you spam for this. Right there, that's right in the middle. So if you just spam in between these 2 things and someone's playing there, you'll get a bunch of damage, if not a kill. The default is usually this one. One very common mistake I see from my students is the go plant in this corner, or they go plant in this corner immediately for no reason when the site isn't clear yet. The worst thing you can do when planting the bomb is do it when your teammates are fighting and when the site isn't cleared. This literally is just a free sign for this guy who's trying to isolate a player to hear, oh, someone's stuck in animation planting the bomb. I'll swing off, kill one, or just kill the guy planting it. No one's watching him. which I'm sure near Elo there is not. Before we go over to B, I wanted to talk about meta comps. Okay, I mentioned Sova quite a bit, and I mentioned Viper. These are the meta agents for this map. These are the ones you see most commonly, especially for B, which we'll cover in a sec. That Viper's wall can cover everything, where someone like Omen can't really cover all the angles for their team. There's always one that's kind of left, which absolutely sucks. You also usually see duelists on this map. We'll talk a bit more about this on defense, but we see like Jet and Reyna. These are two very common ones. And then the Sentinel is kind of 50-50, I would say. You see Cypher, you see Killjoy, you even see Chamber quite a bit. So I think Sentinel is pretty free reign on this map. Me personally, I like Cypher the best. The fact that Killjoy has limited range I don't like. Chamber can go for early aggression, which isn't bad. For example, this TP here and then a trip here, basically lock down B by himself, but I don't really like playing around ranges. And Cypher can just throw a cam here or a cam up here and just watch B for his team and then have like trips mid. So honestly, I think like a lot of these Sentinels are pretty good here. There's a lot you can do with them. But this is usually what you're looking at for this map. The Sova early dart is so essential. Sometimes you see Gecko. Gecko can flash early, it still kind of works. We've also been seeing a bit of ISO instead. ISO is not that bad. I actually think we're going to see a bit more Waylay too on this map instead of Jet. Where this dash potential is pretty crazy. The beacon's pretty crazy. Well, this is the one map I would say Reyna is actually not a bad pick in. The flashes can go up super duper high, cover a lot of these very dangerous angles. And the ability to go very aggressive and then get out is so important for this map. Alright, so let's talk B. Now, B's got a bunch of cool stuff. You basically hate this site forever and always. If you're going back here, I would 100% jump peek it first. One, because there's a lot of operas here. And two, because you just need to. For Vipers, you can just wall the A in this, and that'll cover sight. As you scale up in the site, the dangers here are a lot more simpler. When you come through here, you're usually going to have a teammate also going here. So I'm just going to assume that this danger is always cleared. So your goal is basically just to watch this early peek here. Be careful of that. If you want to take right side, you're basically going through here, clearing this, and starting to go outside. If you're going here, your main goal is basically just to clear this corner and this corner. So you can do that from on top of the box. It's a little more risky, or you can just sit back here, and this entire time you're threatened by the backside yellow. That's why it's important to have someone watching it. If you guys don't know like angle clearing methods, this is actually a really good example of one. Because this threat always exists while this player clears this and this player should never try to clear any other angles and just hold this for his teammate. So if you see your teammate running up and clearing stuff, you should be looking here as you run up with them and just let them clear. And if there's someone there, you react after. Okay? Now that we get to this position, there's basically back yellow, which is a pretty big danger. And then there's like people who pick under and sometimes on top of the wall. And are sometimes just holding here. But my recommended pathing is actually to go right side here. I would really suggest taking these fights and then just using the wall as cover to peek back. This is primarily for my duelists. And it's just because there's usually one player that always goes left side here, and they always take this fight. And what happens is this player just hides here, or they get this kill, and then they peek for more. So it's really nice to have this early wrap here. And then once yellow's cleared, you're pretty much good to plant. So you either plant close here, because you want to avoid getting spammed from here. You also see some players try to opt for like a more outer plant like this, but usually the best bet's going to be this corner one. Anything else is a bit too much for a lot of lobbies, but I'll show you them anyways. If we go through mid, this plant spot for mid is actually super nice. This planting right here, this allows you seen from here, super dope. You can also plant it on top of this, which is really nice, expose everything here, and here, and here. But usually the second default is like inside here. This plants it for CT and back. So it's like if you know they're mid and you have like a duelist who peeked into CT, didn't see anything, you can plant pretty dang safe here. And then last, you can also think of planting here. So there's a lot of different options. This you can see from here, also here. Pretty nice angles. Post plant, there's basically two spots you can play. It's either back yellow or back here. This is why it's kind of nice to maybe go aggressive here. Depends what you're facing. For example, if you have like Killjoy ult, maybe you want to push up close here. It's definitely not a bad site to go aggressive. This is the place to do it. When you feel the pressure of the enemy starting to come through. A lot of times the answer is just to open up some space. If you can get this area, if you can push through here and kill the CT guy, if you can get an opener here, it's really nice. Or you can just play back here and play this post plant angle. Usually I just play post plant here, play on top of the box, and swing off these angles. But sometimes what you're going to find is there's going to be your teammate on yellow and he's just going to fight CT. And so the best solution to an aggro teammate is to be a bit more aggressive with them, try to get their trade. I also wanted to talk about aggressing mid with the Viper orb, or just in general. Aggressing mid's a really good idea because you open up a lot of threats to the enemy. When I also put up a smoke here, it threatens the under tube, it threatens me coming through, or it threatens under tube here, it threatens me coming through here, even threatens the cross to go into this. So 3 whole angles that just got exposed because this one player or whatever piece of utility is watching this no longer has intel. So if the other hits aren't working out, or if you're someone who likes playing the lurk role, mid is your place. It's really important to play around these timings. A lot of what I've done sometimes is waited right here to see if anyone pushes up tube for a bit before activating my lurk, or looking under here. I think the timing up here on the clock is like 132 for how long it takes for people to walk from here to here. I also just like ratting here in general. Like if we don't have a sentinel or if they're flanking a lot, you can pretty much just sit here for free, see if someone eye goes up, and you can hide here if these start coming through B main and just hold this. But yeah, if you take mid, there's a lot of angles here. There's under tube, this angle right here, this window, and then there's on top and bottom here. This on top is a very deadly one. I would never suggest going mid to fight players unless you know they're playing stupid aggressive, but usually accompany this with like a flash. Your goal is basically just to get this cross, threaten this cross, deny intel mid, and you've done a good job in mid. Your second goal is to not die from this window. There's a lot of really dangerous angles. We're cover what this looks like more in defense. But yeah, it is very disgusting to push through here. So you have to be very cautious with your approach. You have to clear these bit by bit and try to avoid any fights. Then you clear right here, clear left, and there's usually a trip like here. If not, you peek into here. The important thing of pushing kitchen here is you need to break this. If there's a trip here, there's something holding mid, you need to threaten it. There's a lot of games where there's just a trip here sitting the entire time and no one ever threatens it and they're never worried about mid. And so when you push the site, you're like, why do they have 4 here? These guys are fast rotating. The answer is no. They just have better intel. The A split isn't a bad thing, but A is usually accompanied by like a late lurk who's listening for this guy, this mid player here, to leave their position, to give it up. Remember, your goal on lurk is to basically get this sound cue circle close enough so you can hear people when they rotate off areas. So if we sit here, we can hear this guy rotate off, and then we can scale up while he's gone. We can sneak up and we can get our free kills from behind. Don't do what I just did though. Make sure you still have your gun out and you're still clearing stuff just in case. Sometimes there's 2 guys, sometimes there's a guy who suddenly appears here and you're like, oh shoot. Still be vigilant. So remember, your main goal for mid is just to threaten it. A lot of times just to threaten it, sometimes it's to split. If you're pushing it, most of the time it's for lurk. Real quick, if you're enjoying the content, I just want to mention I also have a free resource wiki available on the Ko-Fi with 10 resources, some of which I think are insanely OP, like pros to watch on every map and agent. We also do weekly scrims, and every week we pick a map. This week will be Icebox. You can also find coaching, learn any agent, get a guide to Immortal. There is so much stuff here that if you're interested in improving, interested in getting better, or you just want to support the content, I would highly, highly suggest checking it out. Thank you to all my supporters on Ko-Fi. Now back to the video. So defending A is when things start to get interesting. Okay, we talked about this pathing, but the way you play around this on defenders is probably the coolest sight hold in this game, in my opinion. There's so many different solutions you have to the problems you face here. For example, what you most commonly see is players just like jump up here and peek pipes at the start of the round, and they play off this time in here. But what you don't know is that you can just sit here and wait on the rope and see if anyone comes up the rope while you have someone watch your belt. The next thing you could do is double swing with someone here, throw a flash out and peek with them on them coming up. And that is the main lesson for this site, is going aggressive is really your friend. If you can come up with a strong aggressive play, you will kick butt. So what you'll commonly see here is something like a Sova dart towards A main. Just figure out where these guys are. Don't give them too much space for free. You'll see a dart here, or you'll see a dart here. There's also lineups for this if you want to be omega cringe. But your goal is basically just to gather some early intel, as well as take some aggressive fights. So on top of pipes is not bad. You also see some people like Jet just like straight up dash up here and try to fight people up here. And then there's also sometimes you want to tame it back. So a good attacking or a good defending A also has a mix. There's gonna be some rounds where you're playing a super passive position and they're gonna be like, what the heck? These guys aren't going aggressive, what's going on? And then they come up sight and boom, there you are. A lot of people play this angle. I like to play it from this left side. It's a bit more unpredictable. A lot of times you kind of just want the intel. Also, if you're opping, it's not a lot nicer opper angle. Remember, if ops, you always hold wider here because people are going to wide swing the heck out of this because you're not holding a common angle. You also see the op on top of here I mentioned. It's kind of the same dealio. You kind of want to expose a bit more here, but hold for the wide. If you hold it, for example, from back here, it makes that walk up I talked about so much easier. So if I pin this line here and fly straight, you can see it only holds to here. So if I'm the attackers and I'm a bit, just half a bit careful, I can just walk forward here and completely avoid your op. So the deeper is always better. Now another cool another cool spot you can play is literally just on top of 410 here. You can do that same hold I talked about earlier on the ropes, and you can also hold for belt from here. This one's pretty nasty. Very commonly, basically same angle. There's a headshot angle right here. This is definitely an ADS angle here. You can see them walking up to some also things you see is sometimes people fight inside nest. Sometimes people just hide in nest and they hold like an off angle here or up here for when the players actually walk out. Very commonly you see people scale up pipes, so it's actually not a bad idea to play pipes whatsoever. If you're someone like Viper or any controller, I guess, you can throw a one-way smoke here and then you can play inside this with a judge. And you can catch anyone who jumps up here. And you can also sit here and catch some people who go into the bottom of your smoke here. I'm talking about this. Let me go switch. Let me chuck this jaunt right here. Now you can see what I'm talking about. Someone's standing right here. You can see they're definitely in that smoke. And then you can also jump up here and see when people come up. Wow. Speaking of smokes, there's a lot of good smokes you can do. You can do that one way. You can just do a default here and then set up a crossfire for you and a teammate. Or you can play this angle, which is basically the same thing. You're catching people jumping up the pipes. People sometimes play gen. People sometimes play under. But for me, the stuff that really catches people off guard are these really nifty, weird angles. The stuff that kind of messes with people's expectations. So if this play isn't working out, figure out how they take this A. Remember I talked about the initiator. So figure out if they Sova dart this, figure out if they Sova drone from here or from here, and if you can get a teammate to break it, and then how you can counter that. As long as you can counter that util, this early A aggression is absolutely dangerous. There's also this off angle where you go far left. You can hold main from here. There's also the danger of them coming up here. Well, this is a nifty way of not exposing yourself to belt while still holding this area. There's just so many crazy angles in this that I really recommend you just try a bunch of different one of these outs in your game and just see how they go, or try them out in customs. Some more tech I should drop is you can also quickly attach and detach to make it from left to right here. You can also just be on the rope and do the same thing. I always crouch at the end of that one. I don't think you really have to. Try it without. Yep, works both ways. You just hold W and detach and you're basically there. You can also, at the start of the round, jump onto the ropes. And right about the halfway mark, I usually wait till I'm past, like right at that, you press shift, and that'll make it so the enemies can't hear you and you can get into nest first. This spot is also not that bad. You see some people spam. Here's the spam position for this. There's that square. You can see it lights up anyone trying to push through the ropes. And here you're either looking to catch one of these pipes players coming up here, coming up on one of these awkward angles. You're hoping to catch one coming up in here. And you always kind of have a way to get out. You should never play this spot if you don't have a way to get out, because a lot of times you're going to get swarmed very fast. You need, like, literally just one smoke would be enough to get out of this position. Just something for like a quick cover to jump out if you don't have anything. And that's pretty much A. There's so much crazy stuff you can do here. So many different pieces of tech. If you like movement, this is definitely the map to practice your movement on, because there's so many different cool jumps and stuff that you can actually practice on this map. Definitely a good map for my neon one trick. Besides that, let's talk about defending mid. I want to showcase this off angle real quick. If you want to hold two from here, it's really nice. You can also jump spot mid from here. Look at that. Not really. But a lot of times there's either a turret or just someone holding mid like this who's playing the rotate. Usually what happens is this player rotates A, the B player comes over and picks it up. Keep that in mind if you're the B player, and also ask that if you're the mid player. We're just trying to see. Remember I talked about, like, you just don't want people to cross. That's basically it. Fights don't really matter here. You find out it's an aggressive mid take. You don't want to take those fights. You already got the intel. It's aggressive mid take. Let's just reposition. Instead of taking this fight here, you can instead fall back here and position for under tube or position for up here. Talked about these spots. I would never really suggest playing up here, to be honest, because it kind of exposes you to both these, and it's kind of nice to have both these pieces of intel. So checking both these is ideal. And that's pretty much it. There's not a lot to defending mid. You know, try not to overexpose your head here. The less the better. Also not a bad ADS spot, because it's going to be such an accurate headshot zone. Okay. If you're rotating off A, a lot of times you're going to find yourself in kitchen, and you're going to want to be careful of this mid lurk at basically all times. That's why knowing that mid cross is so important. Just knowing if they're here, always full clear this if you don't have the intel. When you drop down here and you're going to retake B, even make sure there's no one here. I even sometimes when I'm rotating from A, I rotate through mid and I come up here with a teammate and we just double clear this, make sure there's no lurkers. There's no one getting away with a sneaky lurk here, because this will absolutely kill your B post plan. That's pretty much it when you're retaking B, which is the idea. A lot of times you're just clearing close, you're re-clearing everything, and then I talked about these are the two spots basically everyone plays. You have like the early aggression, which is this spot and this spot, and that's basically it. So you clear this, the wall drops, you clear this, and then you start focusing here. This is where we dump all our util. I can use blind for this, blind all a yellow, TP here, peek with the blind, and then I have my teammates scaling up. It's a good spot for like one ways. You can throw one way on top of this. This makes it really hard for them to peek basically anywhere except this close spot. So you can see the one way doesn't really work for this. Maybe with something bigger like an Asher smoke it might. A lot of this just comes up to your agent. TP into your smoke here, not bad. You can combine this with their one way, TP into this one way. Just combine stuff together and look, you're in their face. You sit in the smoke, they're scared, they're terrified. You win this. That's basically B post plant. You go through here and it's all the same thing. Like they're either gonna be those two close spots or they're gonna be there. Sometimes you push deeper into sight, but it's very rare. One thing you should know about is this off angle on top of these barrels here, where you can see on top of that. This is nice for both sides, or this is nice if you're retaking, but also if you're holding B. Some people actually play like very passive B, really play for the rotates like all the way back here, and they're just watching the cross, right? If I watch this line, nothing can be in this space, right? So as long as I maintain this line, life is good. And then when I find out it's an A hit, I go rotate A. Simple as that. Besides that, actually defending B at the start of round, it's usually a more aggressive space, or it's a very passive space. So we go for like an early B pick, or we play this close corner and have someone here like break our drone, or we break our drone here and then we have an opper back here, or we're very passive, like we have Killjoy Molly here or Vise Wall here, and we're just completely giving up the space and just playing for intel. If that Vise Wall's there or Killjoy Alarm Bot's there, you can just hold this right side yellow and maintain all this space. Power positions though are back yellow. This is a very dangerous spot, especially if you're someone with the flash or any sort of aggressive ability where you can play off that very easily, and if you have something to get out with it, also very nice. One thing you do see pretty commonly is someone waiting close here, even with like a close smoke, and they hear the tap and they go and kill the planter. Killing the planter is very good here because it's a very vulnerable position. Even if they do like a sage wall or something, being there to immediately break the sage wall is also really helpful. I know in lower lobbies people love to play sage, so just being in position to counter that. Remember, a lot of this map I would say is just learning how the enemies take the site. They're usually very limited on the abilities they have to take the site, so they do the same things every time. They always do this sage wall, they always do this sage wall, they always do the Sova dart here, they always Sova drone from here. So what does that look like for us? How can we play around that? And the more you brainstorm around that, the stronger your defense is going to be. There's also top yellow here, which is not a bad spot. I usually like playing here and holding this peak instead of exposing myself to 2. Or I put it like back here and be in a position like right here. Just keep knifing. I'm knifing nothing. So I'm basically as close as I can be, where you can take a shot, it instantly fall off. That's also not bad either. And I mean, yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me recap a few things for you. This is the medic comp here. There's a few power positions you want to be very mindful of. I would say that's top screens, 410, and then this early pipes, this early aggression. You want to be very mindful of this. Top 410 on post plant is absolutely disgusting. This spot can isolate so many angles so easily. Do not forget about denying this mid cross from the enemy. And if you're defending, make sure you do anything to maintain this mid cross. It's actually not a bad idea to push through mid just to completely get rid of this possibility and also open up the flank if you notice they don't go mid. For B, our power positions are back yellow. And if you're going aggressive, I would also say it's back yellow. We're double back yellow here. Don't forget this planter is very, very weak. And a lot of strong positions here also rely around 2 teammates working together. So if you can find one person on your team who's willing to work with you and break a piece of utility for you, your play is usually going to go a lot better. My favorite is 100% Sova. Sova's very strong on this map. You can shoot a dart to clear all of mid, so you don't even have to think about this mid cross at all and can just insta flank. You could have Sova dart built at the start of the round. There's a reason he's very strongly picked here. This scan and delay is very strong for anyone trying to go a bit more aggressive. And also knowing how to counter this Sova util, knowing it's coming so you can break it and again go for your aggressive play. This is at least the meta from what I see it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you guys want to see other maps, I have an entire playlist now complete with every single map in the game. And as one final shout out, if you don't want to join in on the Ko-Fi, fine, but at least come to the streams every Sunday. We do these weekly scrims on stream. They're super fun. We even sometimes open it up to viewers, so if you're interested, come check it out. I'm super excited with how it's turning out so far, and I hope to see you there. Peace.